Welcome. Finally, we'd make it happen. I've probably known you, Simon O'Keefe. I've probably known you nearly longest in comedy. I can't actually think beyond people who are still going right now. I would imagine of people who I would have had a regular run in with. Like you had the Capital. Had
Yeah,
you?
so I would be. I started running the Halfpenny Bridge in 2005, 2004, I think.
To
No,
clarify,
2005. Yeah,
to clarify for the listeners, that's the comedy club in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn. He is not the guy that McSavage who actually owns the place that McSavage did the Bull Mick. That's not Simon. Simon
yeah.
was the comedy club runner
Yeah.
upstairs.
If you've ever seen the Savage Eye, yeah, the Bull Mick character is like it's based on the owner of the Halfpenny Bridge Inn, and it's now he's not as mad. He's mad, but in slightly different ways. Like there's one time McSavage was trying to wind him up about like there was I think it might have been, I don't know who was on, but it was a gay comedian that was on, and McSavage is winding him up, just going, yeah, Mick, yeah, Simon's got a career performing upstairs for you tonight, don't you know? Just Simon's got careers doing the comedy, and Mick Ryan just I've just named him now.
Oh, don't worry. That man has featured on this podcast more times.
and Mick just looks at myself and just kind of goes, a gay man's money goes into my bank account the same as fucking anyone else's.
He said that's that was what he seemed to be angriest most about with the character, because the whole Queers character, he went, tell Savage, because he wouldn't call him Mick Savage, tell Savage I've no problem with the Queers. In fact, I love them. They've loads of money. Keep the Queers coming into me. And I was like, oh my God. And I there was nobody around to hear him say that. I was like, nobody's around.
And also he said to me, he goes, and the Queers like to drink.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing that people don't realize about Irish publicans is Irish publicans love, is just like the gays and the heavy metalers. And people think because like they're two groups of people who will drink like fish but never cause any trouble.
Yeah. Money. That's what publicans love. Bottom line.
Also, as well, the weird thing I've learned is like I think 80% of publicans are from Tipperary.
There is I didn't realize this, and this had been said to me when I moved to Dublin first. It was like, you surely have a relative who owns a bar up here. I was like, what? No, what are you talking? And then I quite quickly realized, oh, so we were just like, the Asians in Chicago at the time, like they just ran out over the place and went, right, we're taking over this entire Tipperary guys. But the story being, Mick told me the story was like, when you weren't getting the farm or going to college to be a teacher or to be a priest, you were just told to go up to fucking Dublin and work with the uncle in a pub, and you work 7 days a week, only stopping for Christmas, and you'd come in a half day Christmas day to clean the pub. And he couldn't understand. For the first 9 years, he didn't take a day off. Not 9 years.
Yeah, but it's like he also used to run a pub, and I'm going to be very careful with this one, but he ran, I think it was the Wexford Inn in Rathmines.
Right.
But it was the general and all them used to come in there to use the payphone all the time.
That's right. Was that the one in Rathmines?
Yeah.
Right, because I knew there was a pub in Rathmines that was one they used to use.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That fair play to Mick. Say nothing. Keep saying it. Yeah.
There was another story. There's another one he told me what he used to do was when he used to have bands playing in there, he'd say to them, it's like, look, I can give you £80 because this would have been what, late 80s or whatever. So right. £80 is a decent enough, few quid for a gig. So I'll give you £80 or I'll pass the hat. And he goes, every single time the band go, I'll give you £80. But then what Mick would do is he'd put like a couple of fivers and tenors into a glass, pass it around when they're on. Everyone just assumed it was for the band, and he would just pocket it. And the band just kind of go, because somebody, and Mick goes, just like, no, you said you wanted 80 quid, and I gave you fucking 80 quid there. I'll give you 80 quid out of that fucking glass, but that's all you're getting.
You'd be all the time learning off a fella like him. Like,
yeah, because it's like what he always do was because he'd always put fivers and tenors into the glass when you're passing the hat. I always say this to other comics at gigs, and they look at me like I'm mental. But I said, don't ask them for spare. If it's a collection-based gig, don't ask them, for or speaking of collection-based gigs, I'm tempted to go to a mass in Kerry now just to throw loads of condoms into the collection thing after that story. But it's like just put fivers and tenors in, because that way people say, oh, everyone else put in a fiver or a tenor, and that's what they put in. It's like, don't put in coins because they'll just hear the clinking. And like, don't put in, especially, you know, if it's a big open thing, don't put in the small coins, and like people will do it, and it fucking works. Like,
But when did you? So you took over the capital in what, 2000 and
2005.
why was it was it you chose the capital, or who had it
I
before?
chose Capital Comedy
Right.
Club because I had to rename it, because the name before that was, I think it was Mount Cleverest or something ridiculous. It was McSavage used to run that gig, by the way, in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn. He ran it. I'd say this would have been about 2003 or something. But
He
McSavage,
ran
yeah,
Mount Mc.
no, McSavage didn't
Mount
call it Mount
Cleverest.
Cleverest. I don't know what he called it, but McSavage used to kind of run it. So what happened was, because there's a kind of friend of his called Eddie Nessens. There's two guys, Eddie
Yes.
Nessens, Declan Rooney, started it on a Wednesday, early 2000s. Then Declan Rooney, I think, moved to England because he's an actor for work, and like Eddie Nessens, like quit running it to focus on having cancer. And McSavage ended up running it. And what McSavage would do was he'd go out, do his little street show on top of bar, and then kind of Piper, you know, everyone inside there. And then there'd be someone on the door charging tenner. So McSavage would get up then, just like do his like 30-minute set, take all the money and fuck off. And then it's just whatever comedians were left just had to kind of like, okay, do we do a gig now? Or like, what's it? It's like there was literally no one there running the gig, or no one there for the second half. And like, then it got, you know, and it was like, was one of the more McSavage things ever, where like he left his own gig halfway through.
That's perfect. And you took it over then and put a bit of order to the fucking thing, because
there was another fella running it, and then like he went off to Australia for 3 or 4 months, and he asked me to run it while he was gone, and then make notice that there was like 4 or 5 times as many people at it when I was running it as when this other fella. So like I got asked to take over, and then I ran that for like 10 years every Wednesday and Sunday, and like, for all the little bizarre prejudices you end up coming out, I had this like weird anti-Dublin GA prejudice for years, because any Sunday the Dublin played, Temple Bar would just be absolutely carnage.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to get anyone in. And like, you'd be like trying to be tourists coming in before the gig starts, and be like, you know, you'd be whatever, you know, it's like Dublin fans that've been out since like 3 o'clock that day, like, you know, like you know, like fucking trying to do fucking lines off the fucking tables of the pub, or like fucking fighting each other at the like, you know if you ever been in town on a match day, Dublin have played at 3 o'clock, then Temple Bar at 9 o'clock. Like, it's just it's just like absolute carnage, you know. And like, so you end up this weird hatred of that. And like, I also ended up then being, I think, the only person who liked Steve Staunton as the Ireland manager, because whenever Ireland used to play on a Wednesday night, because you get selfish, because then Wednesday night, that gig I ran, it was Wednesday and Sunday, but then Wednesday, if there's big soccer match on, that kind of wipes you out. But then people stopped giving a shit about Ireland when Staunton was manager, because they were so shit. And the Wednesdays got busy again. And I was like, oh, grand, I like this will be grand. But like, so ran that for about 10 years, and then I started running a gig at the weekend. It's a place called Opium, which is kind of owned by Whelan's.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like, that lasts about 4 months, but they changed manager, and the new manager fucked us out of there for being too busy. Like I've run a lot of gigs. Like, I've run a lot of gigs in a lot of different places, and it's the only time I've ever been fucked out of anywhere for being too busy. And the complaint was it was taking too long to open the nightclub after us. And even the bouncer was saying, there's like, our gig was ending at 10:30, and we're going to them, there's no one at this nightclub before 12 o'clock that wasn't at our gig.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we want this entire complex, which holds about 750 people. We want that entire thing open to the public from 10 o'clock. And like, so we got horsed out of there. And then I ended up in another Tipperary owned pub called Chaplin's.
Oh yeah.
This is like owned by another set of people called Ryan. I ended up running there for about, I guess it's what, from about 2014 until COVID.
I find it ironic that you said you ended up being kind of, you had a mild hatred for dub fans, but yet you ended up hiring on the door probably one of the most quintessential dub fans in Gary White. Like,
yeah,
well, actually, not so much quintessential, but his old man actually was the sort of fella who regularly made the center pages of the Mirror with no shirt on, and his large body painted blue.
Yeah, if you're trying to imagine what Sean White, my friend Gary's like dad, looks like, if you can imagine the stereotypical image of like a guy in a white van with like too many Union Jacks outside his house that's voting for Brexit. He looks like one of those guys. Now he's one of the nicest fellas ever.
No doubt.
And it was one of the, when you have these very, very quick male bonding experiences with someone else.
Yeah.
That this was like Gary had this like short film being shown, The Lighthouse, as part of this graduation thing for Ballyfermot. I went along to watch it, and the spread afterwards. Tom, as a man and as a culture, you would have not have liked this fucking spread.
Oh,
like it was.
Their hummus. Was there fucking hummus?
There wasn't even hummus. Like it was all. Like I don't know. It was like somebody went to the fucking Marks and Spencers in fucking Bulgaria,
yeah,
on Stevens's morning, and it's just all these like, there's like things that look like food, but they're not food, and it was just like,
oh no,
like there was something that looked like salami, and like you're not sure, like if a kid had drawn that dinner, you'd beat the kid. Like it was that bad, and it's just like me and Sean, both the films, 2 hours of movies, both sitting there, both hungry, and you're one doing the serving, to puts the tray of food down in front of us. Both of us kind of looked at the tray, looked at each other, and just kind of went to the side. It's like, the fuck are they doing here?
Chips. Where are the fucking chips, lads?
Just like chips, sausages, chicken. It's like something, It's like, and like they closed the concession stand to the cinema for some reason. So we're just kind of going. It's just like we can't even buy. It's. But we just looked at each other and just kind of like, both of us was like, okay, grand. We've something to talk about here. It's fine. Like, plus, I think the movie was about like Gary, like was about like what's like as from parents split up, and there's like things to do with custody.
Yeah,
so, it was also it was just great that it was great in a way that the spread was shit, because the two of us could just kind of go, it was like, right, let's not talk about custody battles. We need something else.
Hasn't Smithfield got fucking up itself? Like when you think. Yes. When you think that it wasn't fucking 5 or 6 years ago, there was groups of travelers cutting each other up with fucking slash hooks at horse fairs, and now they're serving fucking Bulgarian fucking salami in the Arty cinema.
And they've totally like Smithfield Square where they had that horse fair. Like I've seen like you used to get tourists going to the horse fair, and you want to kind of go to them. No, it's they're in for a landing here,
Yeah, because that was kind of what was happening before I moved out of Dublin, was that it was gone from the rare old time. But you know what I mean? They were gentrifying the whole lot of it, but not in kind of a fun way. It was turning everything into a complete wank bag. Like any old pub that I used to enjoy drinking in when I lived just off of just behind Whelan's, we're all turning into gin bars and shit. Like, I mean, how you're all right, at least in the international. God bless it. It will never change. It will.
No,
they like, still do a bowl of stew, do they?
Oh, they still do that. It's like bizarrely, because I just want to say this one before I forget. Yeah. I'm not sure whether this is just a memory that's just like whether the stories become true. See, I think the first time that we technically ever met was slightly bizarre, because I think what happened was I was flying for a gig in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn. I think this is the first time that we met, and I think I saw someone getting started on by her boyfriend when I was flying to Temple Bar Square. So whoever was out there flying with me, I think it was a girl called Mike, a girl called Meg. But anyway, I sent the girl that's flying with me. I said, look, will you go into the pub inside? And I think there was it was like Paul Marsh, I think, was in there. And Paul's like 6'5", I think, used to be a doorman. I think it was him. So I think I knew there was someone in there that was handy or something like that. So I sent in, and then for some reason, whatever she said, but then about 4 or 5 comics come running out of the halfpenny. But I think it was like Paul Marsh, yourself. It may have been Pat Sir Murray as well. He used to box for Ireland at some level, and someone else. And I'm just kind of going, it's like, Jesus Christ, you nearly kind of want there to be a fight now to justify this, like this like Paw Patrol-esque rollout of comics that are good in a fight.
Yeah, God, I used to love a row, but
it's the one thing about the like the international bar. It's a fairly reasonable place to run a gig, but like Temple Bar, you get some mad shit. And there was one time where like it was 2 different groups of junkies were having a fight, but literally around me, and I got stuck in the middle of it. And
Well,
it was
like a
like
West
this,
Side
like,
Story, like
but,
they're
no,
clicking their
but
fingers
no,
together.
it's more kind of Looney Tunes, because like I'm trying to get out of this fight, but every time I move, they're accidentally moving with me. So I'm just like stuck in this fight. I'm just trying to like, you know this bit when you're trying to go past someone in a corridor, like, you know,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
go to
yeah.
your left and you go to your left as well. But it's like this, but there's just like six lads having a fight, and I'm just kind of going, like, I'm just trying to hand out flyers for a comedy club. Can people just like get out of the way here? You know,
Because
or what?
that was one thing I was never envious of you. Christ, I mean, in it's always a lovely anybody. Most people listen to this, you will have either heard of or been in Temple Bar, and it's great for that night that you do, you know, when you don't know anything about Temple Bar, but it's like that Vegas effect. It's nice to visit, but you don't want to fucking live there. Like
Yeah,
Temple Bar, like, man, Jesus Christ, you must have seen, because there's it's lawless. You'll see a cop maybe once every 2 hours just wander through, and he
yeah.
doesn't want to know.
It's like weirdly, what one of the weirdest things I ever saw in there was I saw Ricky Hatton and just one friend of his wandering through there, and I mean fucking rat arsed one night.
Was this fat Ricky Hatton or fit
Oh
Ricky
yeah,
Ricky
this
Hatton?
is this
Oh,
is like this is when Ricky Hatton, like he looked like, you know, he was like making a play to play fucking tie head for like Shannon's 4 team or something. Like it was just like he was like he'd let himself go badly. You know, it's like, but like it was, he was walking out, but for some reason he was wearing just like a denim jacket, but with just like a rhinestone Union Jack
of course,
on the
of
jacket.
course.
And I just kind of thought, like, you know, like if Garth Brooks did a gig in Milton Keynes, this is what you'd wear to, this is what he'd wear on stage. And I just kind of saw it. So like you, Ricky Hatton, just really fucking fat, but wearing the Union Jack jacket around Temple Bar, you're just kind of going, it's just like, there's going to be a row at some point.
Yeah,
But like Ricky Hatton is very fat and very drunk, and you're not sure, is Ricky going to be able to handle himself now?
you're going. Is it Ricky Hatton? Could I
Oh
fight it, or is it? Oh no, because the only thing is, even still, it's fat Ricky Hatton. Like, you know, he's still going to knock you out, whatever's
yeah,
happening. You
I
know?
mean, like, yeah, if the fight went beyond 4 or 5 rounds, he'd be fucked. But like, you'd already be dead.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the reality of
you'd just be dead, and some fella be standing on your back handing out flyers for a strip club. You just like
it.
bleed out in a gutter somewhere.
But and people, an awful lot of people that would have lived around Dublin will recognize you, but not when I describe this. You were the one, because you had long hair and a big thick beard before that became trendy, right? Like you've
Yeah.
always, like, you were probably, I don't know, major confirmation with it, like, but on the backs of buses and huge billboards around Dublin, probably about 10 years ago, you would have seen Simon for, was it Kilkenny beer?
No, it was one called
Was it Caffrey's? No.
no, it was Caledonia Smooth.
Right,
What
right, right.
was
Yes,
the
yeah, yeah,
beer,
yeah.
and
Not a
the
bad
way
beer, actually.
that ad worked was, it's like they shaved one side of my face and one side of my head, and the tagline was "Make the move over to smooth," and like that was the tagline for the beer. But see, I'd never done an ad before, and I told all my friends and family I'm doing this ad. Unbeknownst to me, they were running a second version of an ad at the same time, but with a sheep. And what they done was they sheared half the sheep, and the tagline was "Make the move over to smooth." But the ad of the sheep came out first, and I didn't know this ad was coming out, so I just told everyone I'm in this ad for Caledonia Smooth. And then the ad of the sheep comes out first, and everyone I know just kind of went, it's like, oh shit, right? How do we break this to them that they went with a last minute change of artistic direction?
Which can't happen. Which can't happen.
Yeah. But then also, it's like another comic of a guy called Kevin Goldsmith. Like he
Oh
did
yeah.
Des Bishop's Join the Hood, the Cork one. But he told me that billboard went up in Knocknaheeny, where he's from in Cork. But then for some reason, they never changed that billboard for about 2 years. And it's right beside the bus stop. So he said, like, you've literally had, you know, bottles of Buckfast being thrown at your face every Friday night in Knocknaheeny for the last 2 years. And he says, it's like people were just like complaining. They're just like, what is that fucker again? Like, why is he still fucking up there? Like,
I guarantee you not one pint of that was sold in Knocknaheeny either. Guarantee you. Of
yeah, well,
Caledonia.
there's probably a few kegs stolen, but no points stolen.
Nobody was fucking buying that.
I'd love to go to Knocknaheeny and just to find out, are people going to recognize me? Just going to go, is this like they just stared at my face for 2 years? It's just like seared into their memory.
And most of those people are probably dead by now, Simon. They don't live a long time. They don't. Not if you stay in Knocknaheeny, you don't live a long time. It's just when the local pub has its own nickname. It's called the Holly Hill Inn, but its nickname, and nobody will reply to you when you mention Holly Hill. It's known as the Flying Bottle. It's literally known as the Fly. It doesn't have any windows. It's
Yeah.
like something out of one of those documentaries of toughest pubs in Britain kind of thing. Like just this unplastered, painted block wall of a building, a bunker essentially is what you'd call it, a fucking bunker.
Oh, yeah. It's one of these pubs. It's like, you know, it's like it's there to keep the people contained and in there. Like
kind of. You remember I was in it once, and it reminded me of actually a mate of mine. We went into it. We were both playing. He was playing for UL Bows. I was playing with Shannon, and we were down. And I went to visit a friend of my brother-in-law's. He's got up by his, because we were down. I don't know what the fuck we were doing in Cork. I don't know. We were playing some sevens tournament or something, but we went up to this fucking, and even the taxi driver was going, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, the Holly Hill Inn," and drops us at this place. And we walked in. He went, "Fuck me! It's like Once We Were Warriors, isn't it?" he said it out loud. I went, "What is? There's all high tables and no fucking chairs that I could see, and lads in vests with tattoos just kind of headbutting each other." It's like, oh, this is apart from nobody here is Polynesian or Maori. This is definitely like Once Were Warriors.
I'm trying to think now as what is the roughest pub that I've ever been in, or I don't think it counts as the roughest pub I've been in. I've done some gigs in some dodgy places, and I remember once getting it wasn't me. Like I won't name the comic just to save his bushes, but like there was another comic like got chased out of a gig in Drogheda. Like I remember that.
Yeah, because I've done one or two gigs in Drogheda, and like I had more teeth than the entirety of the audience. Like it was Drogheda and a place to. I mean, I don't want to dumb it down, but I wouldn't be in a hurry to go to Tremor in Waterford ever again.
No, it's I this is a genuine story. I was asked to come down because I was running the gig in Waterford, a place called Revolution in Waterford. I ran a gig there for a few years.
Yes,
and
yes,
like the people, someone who owned this pub in Tremor asked me would I run in Tremor, and I said, all right, I'll come down, have a look at the place. So I went down to Waterford, was getting the bus from Waterford to Tremor, and like he just said, it's by the last stop. And I said, all right, that's fine. I'll just don't need to tell the driver where I'm going. When the bus stops moving, I just get off the bus. So get the bus from Waterford into Tremor, and then like it's stopping, and then it's just like the bus is kind of doing a bit of a loop, and I thought, well, maybe it's just some weird whatever route the way goes, and then it's like it's only when we're halfway back to Waterford. I just realized your man never stopped at the last stop or the terminus. Like he just kept going, and like I went up to him and said, it's like, sorry, have we left Tremor now? And he goes, yeah, and he goes, it's like, but do you not stop at the last stop? Like, did you not think about? And he goes, it's like, well, you never said you wanted to get off the bus. And you're just kind of going, it's like, but did you think I was moving here or something? Like I was just going to live. Like what did you think that like I was just going to go on the bus for the spin of it? Like
I love that might be a thing. Do you know? He kind of looked and went, I must one of them lads that likes to spin on buses. Do you know? Just
like, it's such an Irish thing of just like, well, this guy has gone the entire length of the bus journey. It was just like it's like say nothing. I don't want to disturb him.
Did we do a rough old gig in Longford or someplace out the country?
Bizarrely, I've done one gig in Longford and it was actually kind of nice.
No, the gig was nice, but did we go afterwards? Did we go out afterwards?
No, because I'm remembering I remember the coming back from the gig in Longford because it's Gary White who mentioned earlier. It was like he was running with someone else, and it was a friend of his sister's gave us a lift down. On the way back, someone else in the car told us slightly like rough, as in kind of like gross sex story, and I just said it's like oh Jesus, look, don't get me started on like it's like gross sex stories, and they said go on, and I said it's like are you sure? And they just jokingly said, it's like, right. So I just, every hilarious but gross sex story I had for about an hour on the way back from Longford. And at the end of it, they all just kind of went, yeah, we should have listened to him.
Yeah.
When he said these stories were mad, it's like, yeah,
that's why, because it was Gary's gig. He was running up with a chap and Whitney.
Yeah.
And the gig was lovely. That's why, I don't know why. Maybe we were supposed to be on it together, but I'll never
It's just like
forget.
I don't think I went because I was filling in for Colin McDonald last minute. Bizarrely, I remember that. But like what I remember with that gig was there was a fella that they'd hired to do promo, and the guy dressed up in like flares, these like giant oversized, like 5 times too big sunglasses, big 70s jacket. And he got all dressed up to flyer, but then he thought he looked foolish. So he didn't go out and do the flyering. Like he just stayed in the pub then drinking rather than handing out the flyers. And then he was just like down the back of the room, then just like talking for half the set. And like it's like I had to go over, and like there's other people were having rows with him and his mates for talking. And like I went over just like, sorry guys, would you mind keeping it down? And they're kind of giving me verbals. And when they saw me going on stage, they went, oh shit, right, when the comics just told us to shut up, we'll be quiet. And like, but that's making me think of, I think it was one of the baddest. I did a gig in Milford and Donegal once, and this happened. There's a couple of people down the back, and they were kind of talking, and like someone was giving out, and like no one in Ireland will go over and just say, "Here, look, guys,
Yeah.
down," kind of thing. Like people just eventually snap at you or give out. But there was like the fella that was like getting snarky with some people for talking, and I was just on stage then, and it's a really long room, and I could see them having a row, and like your man that kept talking to his missus punched the fella who shushed him, and the barman comes over, separates them, and then just goes back behind the bar and just left them all there. And like everyone's facing me, so no one else has seen this. That somebody threw a dig down the back of the room, and the barman just went, "Yeah, don't do that again." I just got like, how rough is Milford that like it's like, right, we've a strict 2 punching incidents and you're out rule for our comedy club.
I've noticed that too from gigging around the place. Like I've tried to explain this to people in bits about the countryside and rural Ireland, that you think cities are dangerous. Like it'll take a group of fuckers to make a moment dangerous. Like in the country, it's just because it's the Wild West. They do not have the same policing. Like so,
Yeah, help's not coming. Like
no, it's not. It ain't coming. So shit is starting, and you don't want to throw people out. It was Dunmanway. I remember we were doing a gig in Dunmanway one time, and like a lad pulled up steaming drunk, and this is like, it's, when if somebody was to draw like a fucking Hill 16 dub was to draw a picture of a cull sheet, this is what they would draw. Lad steaming pulls up in a big tractor outside the fucking venue, jumps out of it steaming drunk, and I was standing outside smoking or whatever at the time. He storms in. The bouncers are going, you ain't getting in. He rings the whatchamacallit, the owner. I want to go see some comedy. He's like, he's going in. That fella leaves his check behind that counter every fucking week. He's going in. And him and a couple of more lads, that like this guy, he wasn't 10 stone soaking wet, Simon.
Yeah.
But he decided he didn't like the way somebody was looking at him. Another bloke was looking at him in the back. I was just standing to the side. I can't remember who was on stage. It was this early doors, a couple of Cork comics.
Yeah.
And the two boys just went to war. Both of them soaking wet, I'd say 20 stone max between the two of them. 8 bouncers couldn't pull these guys out the door. And this is why the gig was going on. And who was on stage? It was an odd fella. He was doing comedy in Cork at the time. He powered on, even though the entire audience were looking over, were leaning backwards, looking at like we're talking 12 men were fighting down the back. 8 of them trying to pull these 2 lads out the door. And it was just phenomenal to watch. Like your man, one of the bouncers, he's a monster. He's a bodybuilder. He's going, that is the strongest man I've ever met in my life. Like nothing to him. Absolutely nothing to him. Like fucking, like you look at and go, that fucking weed. But it was just an unbelievable dust up. But your man, I remember the comedian driving on, and even I thinking, going, is he being really professional or just really fucking stupid or unprofessional? Because really, it's worth stopping and at least commentating on what's going on. Like,
oh yeah, you do like a basic, Jesus, I suppose Bill O'Hurley impersonation, or you do something like you think you react to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one time in the Halfpenny where like Peter Gallagher was doing a gig for me, and a friend of his, Pat Devine, was playing guitar for him, and we're kind of waiting in like there's 2 stairs up to that room where the gig is on, and we're in the kind of stairs leads back down to the main bar, and Pat's there with the guitar waiting to go on. I don't know why I'm standing in that door for some reason, but 2 lads come in, and like they looked like they'd been barred from every brothel in Dublin for stealing pillowcases. Like they were just creepy looking fellas, but like they were big. Like one of them was like 6'5", but he was really gone bald with the ponytail, and your man
Nice.
was about 20 stone, and it was around about Easter time, and he was holding a big bunch of lilies, and I took one look at them and just kind of said, like, the gig was sold out anyway, so I said, oh, sorry guys, this gig on, it's sold out. And he goes, oh, we can't come in. And he was like, oh, you've room for tomorrow. I said, like, oh no, look guys, you can't, it's come in, it's sold out. And there's no way I'm letting these fellas in. And like your man goes, it's like, come on. And then your man, one kind of pushed past me, goes, oh, there's loads of room, there's not. And he goes, you can't come in. I said, the guys, you're not coming in. And then your man starts hitting me with a bunch of flowers. But I mean, but like the guy's like 6'5", like if he's throwing a real dig, I was toast. But he starts trying to like literally beat the shit out of me with a bunch of flowers. Like he's swinging the bunch of flowers, you know, like it's a fucking hurl or something. Like he's fucking leathering into me this bunch of flowers, and I'm just kind of going, it's like, what the fuck you doing? And then like Pat's got his guitar around him, so that like this guy's hitting me a bunch of flowers. Pat's got his guitar around him. Like so, there's this like four-way fucking dust up, and like the other guy pulls the big kind of creepy guy. You know, eventually he pulls them out and they go out anyway. It all settles down. PJ's on stage. Here's this commotion. He's looking over, just like, what the fuck's going on here? One of the guys mid-fights like is fucking heckling PJ while they're having a fight. And then it all settles down. And then some guy, like a big enough guy, like a guy who looks like he played rugby kind of thing, comes running over. Like I just knew he was in Trinity, and he just comes running over to where we are. And I said, "Oh no, it's grand now." And he just kind of goes, "It's like, oh, is my bag okay?" And I've just had someone fucking bigger than me try and start a fucking fight with me, and you're worried about your fucking bag.
Of course he is. It's Trinners for winners. Like, there's no way.
Fucking
You absolute scumbag.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell.
Did you get heckled by the just as you talk about the heckling, did you get heckled in the Empire one night by one of the casted Game of Thrones?
What happened was I was doing a gig at the Empire. I it wasn't going great, and I was doing some joke about. I think it's like, yeah, it's about the instructions on condoms. And I suppose it's an old bit I don't mind, but when you read the instructions on condoms, it kind of says all the things you're not to use them with. So it says don't use them with any oil-based lubricants, but then it goes through all the oil-based lubricants like butter, you know, like petroleum jelly, you know, it's like all these other things. So I used to do a bit about that, and I had that in my wallet. I went to take it out, couldn't find it, but for some reason I had some Tesco club card tokens and just went. It's like, oh, does anyone want a Tesco club card token? And this English girl, she goes, oh, I'll have it. And it's like, all right. So I just said to the girl, it's like, oh, what's your name? She goes, Sophie. I said, oh, Sophie, oh, cool. You know, like it was like a girl with like dark hair, glasses. She's wearing a t-shirt that says staff on it. Now, I didn't know that's like a brand, or I don't know what clothing shop makes these t-shirts just say staff on it in big letters. Like, so I thought she worked somewhere nearby or whatever.
Yeah.
And she got, I have a Sophie.
I mean, she at the time she did.
Like, yeah, she did anyway. But like, so I said, oh, Sophie, like, you know, oh, cool, where are you from? She goes, oh, England. So it's like, oh, right, what do you do? And she goes, oh, I'm an actress. and I said, it's just like, all right, have you been in anything I might have seen? And she goes, oh, I don't know. And I thought, right, English actress. And it's a good looking woman. And thought, right, I'm going to mess around here. Like, I've been in a Harp Lager ad. So I thought, right. Like, so I tried to say to her, it's like, have you ever been in a Harp Lager ad? And she goes, it's like, sorry, what? Because she's never heard of lager or harp. And she's not going on, you know, what's going on. I was like, have you ever been in a Harp Lager ad?
Well, hold on, was the crowd around her chuckling at this stage going,
yeah, because everyone has twigged it's Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones, because they just hear actress Belfast. But like, it's like she's got like, you know, I think it's like blonde hair in real life, not red hair. And obviously in the show, she's not wearing glasses. And she's not wearing a fucking t-shirt from A-Wear or wherever the fuck it is. So like, I don't recognize her at all. Now, your one who plays Arya Stark is sitting beside her. Now, that should have been the fucking giveaway.
Yeah.
You know, I should have fucking recognized him. So I'm going away and like, I'm not recognizing her. Like, everyone else cops onto who it is. And everyone thinks, but then there's a point where everyone realizes, oh, he doesn't know who this is. So you've got like Sophie Turner from like the biggest TV show in the world at the time. And I'm literally on stage going to her, just kind of goes, it's like, well, I've been at a Harp Lager ad, so fuck you. And like, they were really nice. Like, someone laughed, but like that, yeah, that's the one time I kind of went viral, you know, anyway. And then like, it was great because I went from playing the Empire, I think, once a year to playing every 2 months, because like, you know, obviously they're loving the publicity.
Was Peter Dinklage wasn't hiding under the table, was he? Or
no, it's not the same, but I did see Aidan Gillen, I think, doing a walk of shame from somewhere in Stony Batter a couple of weeks ago, because it's like where he was and how fucked he was. It's like he's either doing a walk of shame or else for some reason he really had to go to the Little in Grange Gorman You know, it's like it's Sunday morning before last for some reason. But like,
I love how anybody else who would have looked like you, if they'd recognized her from the stage, would have asked for a gig, because you looked like you could have been in Game of Thrones. Long hair, big dark beard. You looked like one of the lads from the fucking wall.
I looked into doing it, because like I know even the extras on it got paid really well, but you
Yeah.
had to have a Northern Ireland or a social security number to do it, like unless you're actually cast. And like
Right.
that, and like I was, I looked into doing it, but then also as well, because obviously, like I've done a bit of acting myself, but like casting notices are amazing, because like there's like various websites that you can join, pay a few quid a year, like to join to do. Like if anyone listening is thinking of making a few quid or want to go into acting a bit, start doing audition for commercials, because you don't have to act at all. They just go by the look on you.
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit about anything else. But the cast notices are so airy fairy. Like they won't ever say, you know, it's just like, oh, we want a fat, ugly couple. They'll say, oh, we want like an average looking couple.
Yeah.
And like there's these phrases they use, like it's just like it's like, oh, good looking in an unconventional way. And like there's all these ones, and normally they say ugly, they say, oh, we want to, and they'll say like, oh, like Donald Sutherland, or they'll always use an example. And then the one they used to say a lot was, they'll never say ugly, they say we want characterful faces.
Yeah.
And they'll say like, oh, like Pete Postlethwaite or something like that. But for the casting notices for Game of Thrones, it was brilliant, because they just said, right, they just had a list of every deformity and birth defect that they wanted. And they said it's like hunchbacks, people missing teeth, missing eyes, amputees, you know, people, you know, it's just like malformed limbs, the whole lot. They just listed every mutation that like they wanted. And it was like just so refreshing. It was brilliant.
Cause we did the you know, the museum tour of it. It's up in the port, where it's right beside. They've left up a load of the scenes and everything. But they put it under a huge roof. But all the guys who'd worked on the wall and were recurring, mostly on the wall, who were recurring lads, like who got 5-6 years solid work out of it. They all got gigs as tour guides inside there, and you were different stages of, like, some guys who were heavily featured and actually had a name and everything, and maybe 1 or 2 lines. They would have a gold, an actual gold brooch, and the hierarchy was carried on still in. So Gladstone would have a bronze one and a silver one, and they had less and less quality or duties while inside the museum. But these lads, I mean, they took it fucking seriously. Like they were all over it. Like it was. But then again, I suppose they were probably getting handsomely well paid as well to be touring people around these.
And let's be honest, they're probably doing well in terms of like hefty American chicks hitting on them as well.
Here you could see it, and the lads were hamming it up to the death, like, you know what I mean. Like they were putting a rasp on their voice, and all of a sudden their strong Belfast accents were becoming very soft Northern Irish sexy accents. You know what I mean?
As much as we don't want to admit it, there's something about Irish guys. It's just like when it comes to chatting up Americans, that like, oh, you lay it on thick.
Oh, for fuck's sake, it's ridiculous. And also, it's almost like, you know, when it's almost, you know, there's the confidence that even if you're only, say, a 4 or a 5, there's the confidence of a 10, because you know you're already, you know what I mean, you're already one leg inside the door, like, because of the accent.
Yeah.
Like on TikTok, there's a bloke, and I now enjoy TikTok because it seems to have formed only things that I want to see, i.e., woodworkers and just like people doing funny shit, like fucking busting their heads off engines and stuff.
I don't know how you can get the algorithm to do it, but there's a subgenre of TikTok I love. I think half a dozen TikTok is like Brazilian people just filming, you know, like mad shit of, like, you know, like a pigeon beating a junkie in a fight on O'Connell Street. And like they're just kind of goes this like, you know, because they all have their idea of what they expect when they move to Dublin. And like, I think most other countries, the really rough places and the civilized places are fairly kind of separate.
Oh
You know,
God, that's the one thing everybody said to me about, especially about Dublin,
yeah,
is that the class divide is the thin veil between
yeah.
between the nightmare realm and
It's
normality is very fucking thin in
yeah,
Dublin.
it's one of the things I like about it's losing it a bit, but it's one of the things like about living in Stony Batter is you're never that far away from madness, you know.
Yeah,
Like at the same, like there's a fella, the fella that used to live next door to me. He used the contrariest whore you'd ever meet in your life, and the fact he's a solicitor, it makes it even madder. But like he used to like regularly go off to work and leave his front door open. Like I don't mean unlocked, I mean the door actually open, and he's just kind of gone off to work. And then also, I swear to God, this one time, like he had this like he put a barbecue in the back of his car, thinking, all right, better take this barbecue to the like you know, to the dump or something at some point. But he just let the barbecue in the back of his car, the parcel shelf taken out for about a year and a half. And every time you look out, you think there's a car bomb about to go off. And he eventually, now he's a solicitor, you know, really good money. And he eventually sold the car. But I'm not joking. I just heard him like, you know, haggling with a bunch of travelers outside the front window. And the dog's kind of jumping up on the front window, sticking her nose up behind the curtains. I'm just kind of going to see the size of the three travelers he's haggling with. I'm just going, dog, get away from the window. I'm just going to go, if anything goes wrong here, this fella's on his own. I'm not saying it's because they're travelers. I'm saying it's because they're big fucking lads. And then I realized one of them, I swear to God, is like Big Joe Joyce. So it's a Big Joe Joyce and two other fellas are haggling with this fella over the car, and I'm just kind of going, it's like I'd agree to whatever whatever price they want over. And then also as well, the guards made him take him down. And Jesus, if you want me to, I'll send you this picture. But there was a fella, I think he's originally from China, but he's living around the corner from me. And it was a corner house, and they had problems with the house being broken into. And like they were told you can't put up spikes or broken bottles anymore. So what this guy did was he made these like wooden, like he used to watch all the traveler call out videos online. So what he did was he painted up these like wooden like mock-ups of the guys from the traveler call out videos and stuck them all on the side wall of the gaff. So the side wall is 4 yards higher up than it used to be. But it's just all these like, you know, wooden paintings of like Big Joe Joyce and everyone else just like telling people to fuck off kind of thing. And like they were up there for a couple of months. And I'll send you the picture after the show.
The rough spots of Belfast having murals of King Billy and Red.
Yeah. But like he took them down because eventually the guards called to the door and just said, you know, the horse fairs around the corner. Like these lads could fucking see those. And like they weren't offensive, but like it was an interesting way to get people to stop and break it into your house. But like obviously you just ended up with like 50 million people taking pictures of the side wall. But for the man, as I mentioned, the guy who used to live next door to me was like he put his Christmas tree on top of his car to take it to the dump, whatever, you know, January, you know, the 8th. But like come the middle of February, the Christmas tree was still on top of the car because he hadn't taken it to the dump yet. But then it's some young lads though, they set the Christmas tree on fire. And you're like, so the top of the car is like, and like the top of the car was a bit scorched. But like, I just love the madness of they didn't burn down the car. Like they set the tree on fire, you know, to teach him a lesson about being a good neighbor and let this carry over. And it's just like, it's like, I just love the insanity of it. It's like they're going to set the car on fire. But it's like, no, we'll just set the tree on fire. Like,
yeah, because they're not complete savages. Like Jesus,
that'll do. Like,
you remind me of when you saw Aidan Gillen. I've a very short fuse when it comes, not fuse, but I'm very impulsive when it comes to moments. And we were living on Pleasant Street, which would be just off Sing Street.
Yeah, and
it was grand. We were there like 2.5, 3 years, but we were kind of getting too old for it, if you know what I mean. Like there was. You're gone. This place is fucking bananas around here because it's just behind Whelan's or whatever. And one morning, I remember it was a Sunday morning. I was going hunting, and it was late October. It was a Sunday morning, maybe about 4 a.m. quarter to 5, and I was heading down to Wicklow, and I came out of the house I had the boot open on the Jeep and 2 guns with me, full camo. I'd forgotten that I'd pulled my balaclava down the full way. So I thought it was on top of my head like the beanie, you know, at the very least, you know, and in the dark of night, you mightn't fully understand what you're looking at, because I wasn't walking drunk, I was walking purposeful to the back of the car. and Aidan Gillen rounded the corner, steamboats, and he took one look at me, and I kind of froze. I kind of went, oh, it's fucking Aidan Gillen, Jesus. And on that, he started screaming at the sky like no human you've ever heard before in your entire life. Just screaming, not any word, not, hey, fucking hell, turn around and run the other direction. Nothing. He just stood there like something out of The Simpsons, screaming at the sky as I kind of slowly tiptoed around him, put the guns in the back of the Jeep, and just kind of, and he kind of turned like he was like a howler monkey, like he was going to scare me off with his,
Yeah.
scream.
So like Aidan Gillen's is like practicing some form of advanced form of Krav Maga, where he's just like, yeah, just try and look as batshit as possible, and that way they'll leave you alone.
It kind of, if anybody looked from a distance, they go, "Hey, wow, that guy's really scaring off that guy with the guns." Even though I was just like, I remember driving out of the city being utterly confused, going, "What?" And I rang Natasha. I got as far as the start of the M11. I pulled in and I rang Natasha and we're moving. She's like, what the fuck's after happening? I was like, did you hear that screaming? She goes, what the fuck was that? Was that a cat or something? I said, no, that was Aidan Gillen from She goes, what? The guy from fucking Love Hate? I went, yeah. I said, that was him. She went, all right, okay, it's your major point, Tom. We don't fit in here. It's fine.
Yeah, in terms of like guarded things, that like it's gonna sound like it's made up, but it's not. But there's a friend of mine in Galway, and like she was doing this like little short film. I think it's for something like student project for the film college out there. Oh, by the way, if you want to have a look at it, I sent you that picture of the on the Facebook Messenger. Like, I don't know whether you can bring up like the pictures onto the screen or not.
Oh, I definitely will. Yeah, hold on. Sure, I can share. Yes, I can share it mid. 1 second now. Hold on. So you sent it to me on Facebook Messenger?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I have to send it.
Was this the guy you said he was Chinese?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was like a artist. Like he maybe did like graffiti art and would like do like brand stuff. Like he was legit, artist.
Oh, I'm in wrong thing. 1 second. And how long were these up for?
They were up for a few weeks.
Simon O'Keefe sent the photo. Oh, they're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share. I'm just gonna share a screen. 1 second now. This will be in the recording for the Patreons. Hold on. There is an option to share screen, isn't there? Share screen. And Safari. Come on. Why, Apple, why are you being such a dickhead? Do you know what? I'll lay it on over at this point. I'm not gonna run the audio for people, but I will.
Yeah, because like we pause for too long, people start to worry that like the audio's gone or their headphones are broken.
I like this camera that way. Stony Batter here. Phoenix. They're really good artist impressions, in all fairness. Like Phoenix Park there.
See, weirdly, like my problem with that is like people are going to steal them on you. Like that's
like what's funny is that's Big Joe Joyce, Young Joe Joyce, and then is a Squeak Dick. I saw that those two guys on either side. They're warring like at the time. That's the hilarious thing. The two pictures he took. But I went up to it was a pro gym. I was friendly with a pro boxer up there, Spike O'Sullivan. Celtic Warrior gym, and it was typically during the day it was professional boxers fought there and they trained there, and then during the evenings it was open to customers, and they'd have classes and stuff like that. And he walked in, that chap, I don't know which one of them he is, he's on the left, and he walked in and he was one of the few people they just left in to work out during the day, because he'd just come up and smash a bag for half an hour, but like there was no hello, no nothing. I was like, that's your man from the... He went, oh, yes, say nothing. It'd be grand. And he just went down and tore into a fucking bag with some of the most clumsy, like when you're looking at these artists, pretty much throwing these fucking gifted punches, like, you know, you go, fuck, these are really talented people. And then you look down at this guy and it's like a silverback but the same thing was, there was so much animal fury behind those punches that, you know, if they connected, which they wouldn't on a professional boxer, but they would with a normal person, they would split your head wide open. Like, but the guy just fucking lit up this bag for half an hour, said nothing, just picked his bag up and walked back out again, zipped up his hoodie.
It's one of the reasons why, like, I way prefer, you know, like, I'm not into boxing. Like, I generally watch a lot of mixed martial arts, but like, it's one reason why, like I watch I'll see so many heavyweight UFC fights. Like I'll watch 2 boxing matches other than Katie Taylor. I'll watch like the odd, if I don't get a spoiler, I'll watch, you know, like the odd like heavyweight title fight or something like that if I've nothing else to watch. But like, it's what I love about the heavyweight, you know, UFC fights is like they all kind of look like Tyson Fury's before photo. You know, like the condition Tyson Fury's in now, it's like that would be a market improvement on all these guys. So it's just these, like, you know, that bit in The Simpsons where Homer's running on the treadmill and Mulder and Scully are watching them, and there's just like tits and like spare tire flying everywhere. That's what I love about the heavyweight UFC fights. It's just like fellas just like that, and they're just winging punches each other. But if it goes beyond like a round and a half, they're knackered. But they're guys that are 20 stone. So if they hit you, that's like a lot of.
That's the thing. And you like your man, like what's hilarious is like if you could unzip that fat, there's an incredible athlete underneath it. Like, but as you said, they just go like super weights is what I want to see. I want to see lads 350 pounds.
Have you ever watched KSW?
Yeah. Those
like they do a super heavyweight for those who don't know, like KSW, it's like the big Polish, you know, mixed martial arts promotion, but they'll do super heavyweights where it's over 265 up to 3, and they'll have stuff where like a former like world's strongest man, you know, they'll have 2 former world's strongest,
Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Yeah, but like, there's another guy, I think it's like Popek Monster. He's like the biggest rapper in Poland in every sense of the word, and like he'll do fights in it as well. And then like KSW do some mad shit where they actually spray sponsors on their backs of the fighters, which is genius.
The best one I ever saw was there was 2v1s. Have you seen that? Like, or
I've seen clips of them. Yeah, obviously they're from Russia. Anything mental that happens in combat sports is Russian.
And there's another one then. Like they started off with just 2v2s in these big. It was a great setup. It wasn't a cage at all. It was a big padded swimming pool for all the world, and there was kind of a couple of like, if you were practicing, it'd be really handy, you know, they'd be really good if you were practicing that parkour, you know, like they'd foam ramps and stuff, and lads could run up it and kick the bollocks off each other off the other, and it'd be like a 5-foot drop up and they started with 2v2s, and then it's invariably turned into 10v10s, and it's just the most mental game of Red Rover you've ever seen. All fucking like MMA fighters, cauliflower ears, kicking, but like properly, like, and there's no holds barred. Soccer kicks to the heads. So one guy could have a guy pinned and you just run over. The greatest sport, I think, though, I'm after getting absolutely gone down a rabbit hole on it, and you'll see it on. It's a sport about the most extreme sports, kind of extreme shit around the world. It's a sport played mostly in like Milan play a bit of it, but it's mostly played in, Jesus, where did my sister get married? In Italy. It's essentially soccer meets UFC. Have you seen this? No.
I think this is just football from the early 80s.
No, this is fucking bananas. There'll be people screaming at me here because I've mentioned it before and I got the name of it and everything. It's played like more or less on a clay pitch, and it's netball essentially. I should say that it's more or less netball. So you're chucking the ball, or circular ball, but it's all out. I'll find it and I'll text it to you. At all out fucking war. You'll be absolutely addicted when you find it. I'll find it on Netflix for you and I'll send you the link. Yeah. You will be utterly addicted because these guys, while it's not professional, they train all year round as out and out fucking Spartans, like psychopaths. You'd have to be a psychopath to be like guys who've died playing this.
Like Italy is a much more violent country than I think
Way
people give
more.
it credit for. Like I remember seeing some documentary on like on hooligans in Italian soccer, and I think it was ahead of like the Rome Derby or something like that. But like there's all this mad shit, like the different football clubs in Italy, a lot of them will have two hooligan firms, but one will be extreme left wing, the other will be extreme right wing. And then like
Really?
occasionally, but yeah, but they don't really team up. So generally, so sometimes what happens is like it gets weird. So like sometimes like the left wing hooligans, they'll only fight the other left wing hooligans of the other team, you know, in a good natured way. And like, you know, or sometimes like the left wing club fans from one club, like say if Rome are playing Lazio, with the two left wing factions will team up and fight the other two. But even the hooligan thing was so organized. The hooligan firms had offices, like actual offices. And like ahead of the big like Rome derby stuff like that, like the police would come in and look at the banners that they have for the match, like to try and like, you know, to be a bit of give and take on what they can put in the banner and what they can't,
That's amazing.
just to try and dictate what kind of. Actually, fuck it. I think I got caught up, and I mean literally in the middle of a Bose Rovers riot a couple of years ago, like
Really?
in Fibsbury, and by the middle, I mean the fucking middle of it.
But you wouldn't have been at either one of those because you're more of a rugby bloke, like. But
Yeah. It's just like yeah. But what happened was I was like walking the dog anyway, and like we're walking down a street called Ratdown Road, and then Bows were playing Rovers in Tala that day. But what the genius thing they did was they decided, right, Bows are playing Rovers in Tala, but we'll have the fight in Phibsborough because all the cops will be over in Tala, expecting us to fight over there.
not
So,
bad.
I'm just walking dog around Ratdown Road, which is over, if you know the area, it's where kind of going down towards like the Grange Gorm, the DIT there. And a huge group of young, I'd say, look to be young lads, you know, late teens, early 20s, you know, they're walking up the road from the Lewis stop. And the dog at the time, like she was very nervous around crowds, and she just saw this big gang of scaldy young fellas and just kind of thought, oh fuck this shit. And she just turned around. She's a German Shepherd, big old dog, but like she just saw when he's turned around,
Smart
walking
dog.
walking back up the you know right down the road. Then we saw another big group coming down, and she's just kind of going, it's like, oh fuck, I don't look like these. So she just stops dead. So we're literally stuck in the middle of these two groups, and I'm just kind of going, like I just see the eyes putting the heads up, like there's one or two chants start to happen. I'm just kind of going, it's like, oh fuck. So I literally have to like drag the dog then over to the side of the road and like literally hiding behind someone's front hedge kind of thing. I'd say there's about 120 people involved, and they start like they start throwing, but like they all about, I don't know how they managed to get this many fucking pint glasses and bottles into their pants, but fair play to them, they did. They start throwing bottles and pints at each other, and like the air is like thick with it. This is like going
Fuck.
off, like full scale riot. Literally, like I'm hiding behind a hedge, and like literally the other side of the hedge, this full scale fucking riot is going on. Like I'm ringing the door of this house to try and get into it. Now Dublin being Dublin, it turns out the house I was trying to get into, that was the house my next door neighbor grew up in. Like that I was trying to get in. So I'm like trying to get into the house. I'm like, it's fucking scary because there's lad, like a few, like about 3 or 4 guys got hospitalized. There was like, you know, cars set on fire. There was a couple of fellas stabbed. There's like fellas getting the heads hit off them with like, you know, rebars and fucking, there's like battens, like the whole lot's being used. And then it's like literally this lovely gay couple coming out of the house next door to that you know that I'm in, and they just kind of go, so it's like, oh, what's going on here? And I just literally just kind of goes, oh look, can I come into your house, please? It's like, can I just come? It's like, what's going on? I said, look, there's a fucking riot. Come on, we have to go back. So I couldn't come here. So I go in there. They go, all right, because they have the 2 little dogs. It's like Liam and George. I actually remember their names. And like, so they go back inside. They put their dogs into a different room because their dogs are freaking out. And I'm like shaking because I wasn't expecting all this. Anyway, they're looking at the window. You could just hear like the police helicopter overhead, and eventually you hear sirens. And like they go back, and I'm just like, and like they're offering me cups of tea because they can see how shook I am, kind of thing. And like I'm just like, oh, thank you so much for that. Look, I'm really sorry. No, thanks for letting me in. And he goes, you okay? You getting home? I was like, oh no, look, yeah, it's not that far to go. And like I go back outside, and like this is how I know I was raised right. I'm still holding a bag of my dog's shit. I, for some reason it's just like I just never thought to me like at any point in the ride it's like oh yeah just I could throw that away.
You can throw it into the middle of fucking. I'm just after looking up that you are going to lose your fucking mind for this. It's called Calcio Storico. So if you find written exactly as it sounds, CALCIO, and it's Florence. I remember seeing the pitch, and we had just missed the final around the sister's wedding, and I was asking, and it was a guy trying to describe it to me, and it made no sense. He was an Italian guy, good English, but it made no fucking sense. I was like, this sounds. But there is, if you'll find it, there's a whole episode, an hour episode on Netflix that's well worth watching. It's part of some series that another episode is like bull riding but this is watching this, like guys lose an eye, everybody breaks fingers, everybody breaks jaws, lads are in the hospital for 6 weeks after it, puncture wounds, you name it. It's just fucking mental.
I'm looking at the pictures now, but bizarrely when I put in the Calcio, but for the image search, one of the first things that comes up is like the Visit Florence page describing
yeah,
it.
there you go.
Yeah, so Visit Florence describes it as a combination of soccer, rugby, and big time wrestling.
It's fucking like it's out and out, and these guys are all fucking maniacs. You have to be a maniac to be involved in this because you can get hit from anywhere. I don't know if it's anything off the rules. Like, so do you fight as much as you can in as much sense that you would have, I suppose running, like in American football, you'd have guards running ahead of you to try and deflect tackles or whatever. Well, this is in that much as that lads just have a war to try and fucking create a path for the guy with the ball. So you can run and you can clothesline your man with the ball. You can or you can just smash somebody next to you. Simple as that.
It's Visit Florence, or make it sound grand anyway.
I'd give it a fucking go. Hey, I won't take up any more of your fucking time. You had a joke. You were gonna had you a joke, a throwaway joke we were talking about beforehand that somebody turned around and went, "Here, you can use this in one of your bits." Do you know we were saying it? You went, "I actually heard one."
Yeah.
It
was a story. Like I was out on, like I think it was straight away you'll know whose party it was, but it was like a 50th for a guy that's in the fire brigade. So straight away you're going to know who it is. But one of his friends was telling me this one where like he was on but he was on the ambulance, but there's an ambulance and like a fire engine called, like there's some fire, it's like some house, whatever it was in Dublin. It was just like a couple of students, they've been like, smoking weed kind of thing. But then like, something went on fire, they knocked over a candle or something like that. Anyway, but like, so it's just like the young guy, this real art studenty guy. So your man told me he has him out and he has him outside, giving oxygen. And he's going to the fire, and he goes, "It's like who else is in there? So is there someone else? Is someone else in there?" And your man goes, "It's like, yeah, they're still in there." And the fire goes, "Right, so there's other people still in there." And he goes, "Yeah, they're still in there." So they go, "Right, guys, we've multiple people inside. Right, go in, get them. Fire crew all suited up. They're going in there. They're bringing out one person to come and say, right, we've got this girl here. It's just like, did you say there's other people still in there?" And man goes like, "Yeah, I said they're still in there." And it's like, okay, they go back in looking for, can't find anyone else, come back out. And he goes, it's like, "Are you sure?" It's just like, where you are. And your man goes, it's like, "Yeah, I said they're still in there." It's like, all right. Fire's getting even worse, and eventually fire crew have to pull out. Like the house is nearly burnt down at this stage anyway. And they said, "Look, we got your friend, we got her out, and like is there anyone else? We can't go back in, there's someone else, look, with additional units coming." And your man, and like we got your friend out, your friend, like we reckon she's going to be okay. And your man just goes, "This is like, no, not she, they're non-binary."
Oh my.
And the fire
God.
brigader just got to go, "So right, so you sent a fire crew, we're going into a burning building looking for someone that wasn't in there." like because
Oh,
you thought, right, the fire, that was the time to kind of go, no,
oh,
I'm going to commit to my friend's, non-binary identity. And your man's like give it out, and then it's like, yeah, you shouldn't go. And then eventually when the fire brigade just kind of goes, it's like, wait, you walked out, made it, you went out yourself and fucking and left her in there. And your man's just like, it's like, it's just like, wait, you left them in there. You're giving out to us for using the wrong fucking pronouns, and you left your friend in a burning fucking building. And that's how you're getting fucking antsy about.
and therein lies the frailty of all that bullshit.
Yeah,
Like,
there's times when that shit go,
yeah, cut it out now, Morris. Come on, to the fuck. Where is he, she, who, where is
yeah.
the other? Yeah, fuck that.
It's one of the more fun bits of written, but new bits of doing. But your man about like Enoch Burke and all that stuff, like the crack I'm having doing that story. That like,
Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
just for the highlight of it. Like, we won't go into the whole thing of it, but I just love the fact that he was suspended without pay, but he kept going in, and every Irish person's looking at us going, like, that's like, do you remember there was a case a couple of months ago where there was like a guard and he got suspended. It was for something administrative, like that he was like duking his sick days, or he wasn't coming in enough, or he missed shifts. It was something not too bad, but he got suspended. But then he pending dismissal, but he appealed the dismissal, and like he got suspended for full pay for about 4 years, and then they tried to fire him again, and because the union was paying for it, he appealed the dismissal again. And then it went through. So he was suspended with full pay from 7 years, and they showed him going to court. And you've not seen a happier or more rotund individual in your
Yes.
life than this guy that was on about 50 or 60 grand a year for 7 years suspended full pay. And then they had to keep stretching it out. But so we went through whatever about 3 different appeals. But then on the third appeal, the judge ruled, wait, this disciplinary process has gone on for too long. Your man hasn't gotten fair process. I'm ruling that you have to reinstate him. And the look on your man's face when he, like, coming out of the court after he'd been reinstated, where he's just got to go, it's like, fuck, I was living the fucking dream. And they fucking ruined it, because he thought, right, they're going to terminate me, I'll get some sort of settlement, and then they're making him go back to work. And like, he'd failed the physical for the fucking Garda band at this stage. like the fucking size of him.
There was a brief period where a brief window where I had an opportunity to do a joke, and on the similar premise when the gay marriage came in. And it was, and I'm sure it wasn't the most original thought, but it was one I did a couple of times. It was like, well, there has to be I said, it is fantastic that gay dudes are able to marry, gay people are able to marry now, but there has to be a small percentage of gay dudes out there who are in, let's call it a loose enough relationship, and we're happy with the setup and going,
Yeah.
we can't get married, man, because it's just, it's Ireland.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, just can't get married. And then it comes in, it's like, oh, for fuck, hey, fucking yay for us. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck it. Now we gotta fucking commit like regular folk, for fuck's sake.
It's weirdly, it's like, I tried to do a joke at the time, and it didn't fly. And it's just a weird thing, the way that, like, in terms of what people react and what people get set up on, the little bits you have to change for a joke. Like, I was trying to do a joke at the time of roughly on the lines of, I support gay marriage, except for when the two of them look exactly like each other. Like
Yeah.
like that, like, that's a bit notionsy. Like, if you marry
that's an ego flex of the highest order.
if you marry someone that's the absolute spit of you, like that's it's just like, what's going on there? But like, it never got, and
it probably would now, because I think there was a period there for in or around all of it, where I suppose Irish people wanted to seem supportive, and they were supportive, but also it's almost like when your parents meet your Muslim friend for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh Jesus, fair play to you. I always liked the Quran. It was a great book. Like, and just want to be hype, not hype, but just overly fucking. Now nobody gives a fuck. It's like, are you gay? Oh yeah, Grant, I like dogs. Anyway, nobody gives a, because it's such a normal thing. It's just taken this long now, where it's gotten to a point where, it's just not. But there was a brief period, and I noticed something. It's probably gone again, I don't know, but there was a period maybe 9-10 years ago when I was gigging in London, where there was a sensitivity towards Irish people, from especially like if you were in Shoreditch or any of these super hip places, were like, we know what we did to you, and you're going, you didn't do fuck all to me. And neither did your relations do it to me. But you can still lean into the whole Irish thing. It's like, and it was funny, me and like the, we'll call them, comedians of color because it was from Asia and, whatever. We were all kind of laughing about it going, oh, really white fucking British people are really kind of, we're sorry, we will laugh at anything that you have to say. And you could just tear them a new one. You could tear England a new one. And they were like, yes, thank you. I'll have some more, please. Do you know what I mean?
It's one of my favorite things you see at gigs because, like, obviously, like I host a lot of shows and you're finding out where everyone's from at the start. But then you feel like some comics that like they just write there's some in England in and they're committing to the anti-English bit no matter what.
Yeah.
Or they go, right, there's some English. I love it when there's like, English Asian people in the gig, and then someone goes, right, I'm still going to do the 800 years of repression stuff towards someone obviously of Indian descent. And you're just gonna go, it's just like, no, I don't think they were at it. Like, I think that would have been mentioned in a ballad or two over the years if there was like brown people burning down Mullingar in the 1800s. like
You're mistaking the black and tans. You are mistaking the black and tans. That was just but I'll never forget. When describing or talking with people about Brexit, they're going, what kind of a person would fucking vote for Brexit? And I'll never forget one night at your gig in Chaplains. I was out in the landing, which was the end of the show, and there wasn't a lot of space. So fellas like me and you were fine to stand on the landing, but if you had a bit of girth, you better keep moving. Yeah. And this woman that I can only describe looked like the Honey Monster. She was part of she was part of a large group of women from Hull, minus the H, so it was just Hull. Yeah. And she came out and she was going, price a drink around here. I went, oh, I know, but sure, that's sure. I mean, you go to any capital city and you go to the vibrant parts is always going to be the same. I know. Oh, just to let you know, it was a great show. Really enjoyed it, and I voted for Brexit. Had me reasons. I just wanders up down the stairs. And I remember looking at you, and you were kind of in full flow of saying goodbye to people, and or whatever, and packing up the fucking shit. And I was kind of I needed more time to process that moment, but she was just gone. She just dropped it in there, and nobody had mentioned, how Hull would have been the hub of the no vote. Nobody had made mention of it. It was apropos of nothing. Do you know what I mean? You hadn't mentioned nobody gave a fuck that there was English people in. It was a group of like 12. Fucking lively birds, as they would call themselves on a hen do. And you just drops it in there. And I went, that's exactly who people think voted no. Other English people think that you voted no for sure.
It's like, I missed the gangs of like, because like it's in the international, there's like no stags or hens allowed there. And like Chaplains, we used to kind of get a lot of them, like, because we used like Fridays were always sold out and it was all just English groups kind of thing. Like, I miss the big groups, these brassy northern birds, because like you might think if when the entire audience is like that, you can have the crack with them and everyone's on the same page. But like, there's none of this shit of being worried, having to worry about a single thing you say when you've like, literally 15 women all called Tracy from like fucking Wigan.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like like it's you can just like fucking relax and just have fun.
We were there. I think you'd gone outside the door, and it was like that. A Tracy from Wigan. She was like literally like the two fat birds, from the Viz comic. Like there was two sitting, and one of them, her tit popped out. She was laughing so hard. But like just for a brief second, she just lobbed it back in the same way like your wallet would fall on the floor. It was just like,
There was generally one gig in there where I literally, because I thought I can't point at the person, but I actually at one point I just stopped and said, right, can our audience stand up? And then I said, right, can anyone wearing jeans pull their jeans up slightly? Can anyone wearing a dress or a skirt pull it down slightly? And they did, because like I could literally see one girl's minge like when I stand on stage, and I'm just kind of going like, we have to address this. And it's like, I can't just, whoever was on next was like Pat McDonald or somebody said, like, I can't have like Pat coming on stage and there's like one girl winking at him, you know, from like,
he'd be like, Simon, your face is looking back out of that girl's dress.
There was, it's like, I never got the story to work on stage because I think I come across as an asshole in it. Well, I suppose it involves me, but there's one time, like, there was a group of women in on like a hen, and a couple of them left. A couple of them stayed around after the gig. One girl, a couple of flirty heckles from her during the gig. They liking Irish guys and liking fellas with, like, beards and tattoos, all that sort of stuff. So I'm trying on with her after the gig, and then it turns out she's married. And I just kind of went, this is like, well, fuck it, I'm warmed up here, right? I'll just crack on her friend instead. Anyway,
yeah.
So I'm hitting on the friend anyway, getting on great with the friend, and the friend just kind of goes, it's like, oh no, you know, it's like, Bob was. So the friend I reckon I'm going to hook up with, she goes off to the Jacks, and another friend just kind of goes, like, look, I don't want my friend going off, strange city, strange guy, where she's been, blah blah. You know, it's like you know, she's divorced not long ago, and I'm like, oh hello, and she goes, it's like, yeah, but she goes, how would you like to come? She goes, but look, of a better idea, how would you like to come back to the hotel room with me and her? And I thought, oh brilliant, I'm getting the fucking threesome here. To go back to the hotel with them, practically fucking high five to fucking night porter on the way in, get up to the room. Your one wasn't interested in having the threesome because she was married, but like, so basically, so me and the other one get into bed, and your one kind of like starts tearing into me, talk grand, but then the other one just starts go, you know, you know the nighttime routine that women have, where they'll send a couple of WhatsApps and they'll take the makeup off and like they'll sit down, they'll brush the hair. So like, I'm literally riding this one from Swindon in one bed, while like 2 feet away from us, your one is just doing her nighttime. Like, she's there at the fucking ponds, cream and like the whole lot, and like, you know, taking out a shirt for the next day, the whole, like, she's just like, then she goes in, brushes her teeth, coming back out. So she's just doing her nighttime routine while me and her friend are having the ride. Now, we were trying to be under the duvet, like we weren't total animals about it. But your one's just doing, I'm not joking, there's one part where the one I'm with, she goes down to me, and the duvet comes down, and I make eye contact with her friend. And her friend just does that, you know, that face when you accidentally make eye contact with anyone and you don't know what to do, and you just kind of goes like, her friend just does that. What about it, you know? And it's just like, and then like there's this awkward bit like where we finish, and the two of us are giggling away under the duvet, and we're just kind of go, right, we better come back up anyway. And your mom just kind of goes, just like, so did you enjoy that?
Finally I could put the telly on.
Like, all I was missing was her just watching fucking Sky News in the background.
God, they are a liberal bunch of bastards, aren't they, some of those people? Like, so, like, actually, on the way to doing the intro with you the last night, which, as people will hear this, we're doing tonight. But I remember there wasn't an opportunity to stay on stage because there wasn't a gang of Tracy's in the room, but there were like 2, again, Northern English women standing down by the quays, and this, God bless him, but this hell yeah of a Dublin fella, like, but you gotta love him. He brass balls, like, he just walked straight up to these 2 girls who were, you know, they were clad in fucking stuff. Now, you'd need deep heat on a cold night to be wearing this shit, like, you know. As like Marsh had a joke about, you know, Billy Cyrus, the girl must have a lot of weddings. They genuinely did, like, these girls looked like next to nothing on, but seemed jovial. And this lad just struts straight up to him and goes, "Here we go, girls." And they're like, "All right." They're like, "Just fancy a threesome. I'll go back to your hotel now. We'll be done by 9 o'clock. Well." And you can see the 2 of them just looked at it like, you would think a hint of Irish prudeness would go, "Oh, would you ever? Oh, fuck off." You know, these 2 girls kind of looked at each other, went, and like one kind of half thought about the time, going, "That wouldn't ruin the night. In fairness, sure wouldn't." You know, and just kind of went, "Oh, you know what? You're all right. Well, thanks for offering me. Can't blame a fella for trying." And on he walks. You know,
it was the first time I was ever on TV, and it was presented by David McWilliams. But like, I was filling in for someone who couldn't do it. But I was one of four guys who were asked to review. You know, ever heard of this book by Neil Strauss called The Game? Yeah, it's like the most famous pickup manual of all time. A comedian, well, we'll call him a comedian, that ran a club, lived his life by it. Oh, I know exactly who you mean.
Yeah. Strange handshakes and everything, like,
it's But anyway, but yeah, but it's like, so like me and four guys, like they got, I think, someone off News Talk and like someone from somewhere else, but they just asked another comedian, but who's in a relationship. So like we are to try out what was in that book. We are to go out for a couple of nights, try it out, come back, go on to David McWilliams' show, try it out. But one thing they said in it was, they said it's like, look, they said there's like someone actually did some research. Some fella did a load of research where he literally just went around nightclubs and like just went up to girls and just went, "Do you want to make out?" And he said what he found was it's like 3% of the time it actually did work. And like, and maybe
that's a lot of work,
but just like, you're just gonna go, it's just like, but that guy's like, if he's just playing the odds statistically right, like it'll work for you eventually.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? You're gonna hate yourself the other 97% of it, and even when the 3% comes off, you're like, oh, I won't keep you any longer, but I gotta tell you this story. We were, as you just reminded me of that. Do you remember there was a chap, Kevin? He had a great deep voice, small little fella from America.
Kevin Lockhart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Myself and Kevin were doing the international one night, and I says, "Do you fancy a pint?" He says, "Yeah, cool." So we're drinking downstairs. I says, "What's the crack, Kevin?" I says, "What do you do?" So he was telling me he built computer games.
Yeah.
And they had an apartment and all for him. Jesus Christ, over opposite nearly in Dublin Castle. It was phenomenal. Like, it was where they had him. Put up mega books he was on. And I went, fucking hell tonight, Jesus Christ. And I never see you with a woman. Is there a woman on the scene? Because no, I'm not good with women. I said, well, fuck me. I said, with an apartment like that and a wage packet like that, you could get good. You could at least be some way fucking affable. And he started telling me he went to gamer college. I shouldn't have laughed either. I fucking laughed. I went, fucking what? So there was nothing else going on in this college bar, fucking computer games. Because, yeah, I said, I'm guessing the women's situation wasn't great there either. He was like, no, it was fucking terrible. There was none. But they were all from wealthy families to a degree, because it was fucking high profile college, this thing. And this one particular Friday, a bunch of them took off and went to this pickup artist. Like, he was having a seminar, and it was private for the lads. It was all about fucking, I don't know, if there's $1,000 a head or something for this day course with this big fucking lummox of a fella who would be in no way attractive to a woman. So your man's giving him all this shit about the game, and he's gone, you have to dominate the woman and all this shit. It's like, and the lads by the end of it are all in a fucking tizzy. They're all excited.
Yeah.
And he goes, get out tonight and be a fucking gorilla, bang your chest. And these lads are all fucking hyper nerds, like. And they all head out, right? They all go to different bars. And Lockhart goes up to the first two women, full of fucking beans from the day's chat from this fella, walks up to the first two women. And whatever the line was to give it to him, like, which one of you wants to buy me a drink, we'll say. And he walks straight up to him. He's like, so which one of you girls wants to buy me a drink? And one of them goes, oh, you must have just done that course, did you? Immediately crushed. Done. Fuck that. Into the taxi home.
Yeah. A former housemate of mine did that, because like literally after I read that book, I lent it to nearly every woman I know, because they all wanted to find out. But then befriend Kira, when she was out, like the first, like, a guy tried that shit from her, and she was a bit giddy. She was so excited that happened. She actually just went, it's like, oh, you're a pickup artist, and like your man could like slug away, and she goes, it's like no, I want to see if it works anyway. And your man's just then like sheepish, but like, because your man's embarrassed because he's been caught, but he's still trying to do all the shit from the book, which you're meant to be like super smooth with, and like she's just kind of like, she's kind of just like, oh, do the next bit, and it's like, it's the one reaction I had of, sorry, I'll let you go on this one, but it's like, with the big lines from the book was, the best way to get a number off a girl in the bar, just go up talking for a little bit, is the best line in the world, they say, and it's like, just say, it's like, so what can we do to continue this conversation another time? And the girl's meant to go, oh yeah, I'll give you my number, let's swap numbers. I tried that. The first girl, I tried that on the wheel, and so I just like chatting away for a bit, and I'm just going, it's like, yeah, so what can we do to continue this conversation another time? And your one just went, I don't fucking know.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I don't fucking know, you fucking dick. International Comedy Club, Thursdays, Fridays. And that is, I mean, that's when you took it over. I mean, the joy in even the message you sent yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, of running times. Like, you're like, oh, I know what time to arrive now. And if I have to do a gig, or something, if I to get a sandwich, at least I know I don't,
Yeah,
and it will start, on time.
For a bit of context, it's like, the club was run by kind of like, well, it kind of got big under Des Bishop, and his brothers run it for years, and like after COVID, the bar went to go in a different direction. But the guy they got in was from more of a theater background, and like, he wasn't used to dealing with comedians, and like, it's the wrong analogy to use, but it's kind of perfect. It's the way I said it to other people for dealing with, like, for me dealing with comedians running that club. It's like the way, Saddam Hussein was the only person that could keep Iraq under control. Like,
right,
you need a special kind of psychopath, I think, to like, to handle comedians, because you're dealing with some fairly scroofy people. Like, let's be honest.
And it doesn't help. Yeah, if it's gone off the fucking rate. Yeah, because I remember that guy, and if somebody was, because after COVID, everyone was, and I remember messaging, and I remember one of the last gigs I actually did in Dublin was headlining the International, and then everything went fucking pear-shaped. And I remember I messaged this guy. I thought, fucking strange, I'd never heard of him. And the guy was like, yeah, send me in a video. I'm like, well, I'm fucking not doing that anyway. I'm not saying I'm too precious for it, but at the same time, lad, Jesus, at the very fucking least, get over yourself. Like, fucking relax. Look at the last poster pre-COVID. It would have fucking had me head on it at the very least.
Like he started running that club anyway, and then but he later told me that he got something, like, in the first, after it got announced that he was running it, he got 127 messages in the first 2 days from people looking for gigs, and he just kind of went, it's like, and that was the first 2 days. Like, that's not total. And and he was just kind of going, it's like, oh fuck, what have I let myself in for? I won't name the comedian, but like, somebody like literally came into an International and slipped him a note given out to him. Like, that's the type of shit. That's the type of shit you have to deal with. Like somebody like turned up with their missus to watch a gig and just gave him a note, kind of like on a little bit of paper given out to him, and he's just kind of going, and I was just like, what is this? It's like, you've like traveled a significant distance to give somebody a note. It's like what's
so, like, know this, people traveling to comedy clubs, listen to this now, that the person running it, if they're a bit tetchy on a night, there's a possibility that they've been slipped a fucking note by a maniac who is probably a shite comedian, because you wouldn't be slipping fucking notes to the fucking booker if you're fucking good enough to be on the stage. Jesus fucking Christ, that's, oh my God, I'd fuck him downstairs. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God. But I mean, it's an absolute fucking roaring success. You're fucking sold out Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 2 shows on a Saturday every fucking week.
2 shows on Saturday. We're going to be adding 2 shows. We're going to be doing 2 shows on Fridays from next year as well. Then it's what day is this going out?
Friday. It's going to go out Friday. We're going to put it out Friday, because I've one other, but I'm timing his one for next week.
Yeah, tonight then there'll be like the very special guest coming in on Friday night. I can't say who it is.
I'll tell everybody next week if they haven't. I'll have gotten a selfie.
We had Dylan Moran in. I think it was like Saturday before last. Like, Dylan Moran just like rocked up looking for a gig, and we just went, yeah, okay. It's like,
I would have loved for you to say no.
We can manage that. So people want to check it out. It's like so the International Bar, Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays. It's like intercomedydublin.com or the Intercomedy on the social medias.
What I'll do is I'll put Simon's phone number up on the show notes here. You could just text him direct.
Yes,
or slip him a fucking note sometime.
Yeah, if anyone's got any complaints about any stories I told in this podcast, turn up to the International, buy a ticket, and just hand me a note.
And on it, I want you to, and Simon will hand you back one with a picture of 3 of the lads from the mural around the corner.
Somebody once wrote me a letter in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn, like posted in a letter looking for a gig, like an actual letter. And I wrote them a letter back, giving them one. Yeah, because I thought I have to give them a gig.
Yeah, you have to.
Like, this person, 10% chance they're brilliant, 90% chance they're fucking mental. But like, you have to roll the dice. And then they never turned up for the fucking gig.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, I still have a fucking grudge against Oliver Callan because he didn't turn up for a fucking 5 minute spot on the Halfpenny in like fucking 2006 or some shit
Oh,
like
I
that.
remember. I would take shit like that to the grave because I like it is so. I take it so seriously, like fucking to not, to have asked for a gig or to have been given a gig and to not fucking show up and do it. I remember hosting only a handful of times I ever hosted the Battle of the Axe, and this crazy old fucking wagon. They were all young comics who were really new, like really fucking new, and there was a long waiting list, like.
Yeah.
And I was hosting, and it was a good night, but there was this one old one that again would be barred from every fucking place in the world. The husband had fucked off; he'd had enough, and left her there drinking cider. And like there was a couple of fucking howies, and she had piped up that she wanted to give it a go. I went, yeah, not fucking happening. And then they chimed in like it was some sort of fucking Disney movie moment, like the Mighty Ducks, and they were like, "Give her a gig, go on, she'd be fucking great, go on." And I just left that all die down. And I went, you can all shut the fuck up and walk the fuck. Do you know how long the fucking youngsters out in the back of fucking waited? Like she gave a couple of girls loads of shit that were on stage, like, and to get a fucking gig here. Do you think I'm gonna let that fucking dried up fucking teabag sucking cider sitting up the front who's been giving everybody shit a fucking moment on this stage? And she made a fucking go for me, right?
Yeah.
She made a go for me. And I just kind of put my hand on her fuzzy little head and pushed her back down and went, I'll take your fucking head clean off your shoulders the next time. And I don't give a fuck. But I was genuine. I wasn't doing it for the hilarity, although it did turn out to be kind of funny because everybody secretly hated her. But it was how seriously I was taken, how nervous they were all writing their notes at the back. Do you know what I mean? And you're kind of going, I remember that fucking absolute bricking it. You don't know anybody. You don't know.
I have to tell you this. You know Mark Chopper Reed, the criminal from the movie Chopper,
Yes,
the Eric Bana one.
Oh,
by the way, DVD extra, brilliant. There's a commentary just by your man Chopper, the actual criminal.
Amazing. It's amazing.
But your man Chopper, he started doing then like one man shows a few years later because he got like very well known, very notorious. Because like all these like mad stories and everyone loves him. But there was like an Aussie comic was telling me, but like your man Chopper just turned up. He's at some gig in Melbourne watching, and your man thinks like, oh, Mark Chopper Reed's here, a famous comedian. I just one shows. Fuck it, we'll get Mark up on stage. We'll get him to tell a story, and it'd be funny. But obviously, they get Mark Chopper Reed up on stage. But then obviously, once he starts going, he's not fucking stopping. Yeah. So like like it's literally so whatever it is, it's like 11:30. The pub legally was meant to have been empty by 11 o'clock. Shutters down. Mark Reed's still on stage. The bar are fucking freaking out. They're going to lose their fucking license. There's meant to be three other comics that are meant to be on after, but he's still fucking going. But then the owner goes to the MC, just kind of goes, it's like, yeah, will you go up and tell Mark that he has to finish? And like, he's just going,
ears.
No. Your man, like Mark does this like 2-hour lock-in gig basically because like all the comics are like, no one wants to go up on stage to tell him to get the fuck off stage. Like,
holy Jesus Christ Almighty.
Yeah.
Anyway, Simon, this has been fucking class. And we didn't speak not one note did we speak on rugby. I thought the whole thing was going to end up turning to rugby with the fucking the international. But do you know what? We'll leave it for the real world. We'll leave that for the real world.
Leave that for the real world, or if I'm ever on this again, anyway, we can do.
Yeah, we might actually do a recap. Right. I'll technically, as people will hear this, I'll see you tonight. And thanks a million for being on Buckshot.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me, Tom. Good luck.
Mind yourself.